The PS4 game library is full of incredible titles from every gaming genre imaginable. In the case of open-world excellence, Sony's fourth home console has a library of options that will surprise you. I tried to surprise you and created this list with the 37 best open-world games on PS4. Shadow of the Colossus, PS4. What can be said about Shadow of the Colossus that hasn't been said already? It's truly among PlayStation's best games, and this PS4 remake presents it in the best possible light. Set in a barren open world, devoid of almost all life, you must venture out and slay numerous colossi that are peacefully roaming the land. Each of these boss-style encounters is a puzzle in itself, and they each feel like epic confrontations thanks to incredible animation and music. Remade on PS4, it looks and runs better than ever, too. A bona fide classic. Many games that offer open worlds put you in bright and vibrant places. That is not the case for Fallout 4. This title is set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland filled with deadly, mutated creatures. Therefore, exploring the place can be treacherous, but this is an RPG. So, over time, you can make yourself much more capable of surviving encounters with the monsters that roam the world. This is handy since you have to visit plenty of places in the wasteland while you search for your kidnapped child as part of the main story. Once you've gotten the most out of Aloy's first post-apocalyptic adventure, you'll get the urge to check out the next entry in the Horizon series. Horizon Forbidden West moves the veteran hunter to the western portion of the United States, and with that change in scenery comes a whole new array of robotic creatures to take down and new enemy tribes to engage in battle with. As you make your way through the states of California, Nevada, and Utah, you'll be introduced to new mechanics such as being able to swim underwater, new tools to make use of during battle and exploration, and a refined mission structure that allows for more variety and better completion rewards. A completely different approach in terms of gameplay, Yakuza, Like a Dragon is a turn-based RPG that takes heavy inspiration from the likes of Dragon Quest. For the first time in Sega's main series, Kazuma Kiryu is stripped of his duties as a protagonist, replaced by the supremely endearing Ichiban Kasuga and his party of crazy characters. While the adventure still has story ties to previous entries, Like a Dragon is something of a rebirth, and it's fantastic fun. The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim is accessible on every modern-day system you can possibly think of, so it's no surprise that we've chosen to highlight it here on this list of the best open-world games on PS4. Since originally releasing in 2011, Bethesda Softworks' massive fantastical medieval action RPG has been ported countless times and improved upon. So at this point, the best way to play it if you haven't dabbled in it already is the Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim Anniversary Edition. You can embrace the tough trials and tribulations of the all-powerful Dragonborn in this package's main campaign and 3 expansive DLC expansions, Dragonborn, Dawnguard, and Huffire. One of the very best action RPGs of modern times, Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen is better than ever on PS4, where its last-gen frame rate issues are put to the sword. Subtle storytelling combines with a dark fantasy world to create an enthralling experience, and the combat is still miles ahead of almost everything else in the genre, a game deserving of far more praise than many are prepared to give. Sleeping Dogs will go down as one of the most underrated games on either the PS3 or PS4. This is because it's an outstanding open-world action-adventure title with a strong story and exceptional martial arts-inspired combat. The world is not bad either, as it's a contemporary version of Hong Kong. The place looks stunning and contains plenty of interesting things to do and see. Some of these things aid the cops, while the others are about helping the triads. This is because you play as an undercover cop who has infiltrated the famous Chinese gang. Determining how highly regarded Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain is really depends on what type of person you ask. Open-world fanatics rightfully claim it's one of the genre's best, with vast stretches of land that let you come up with infiltration and escape plans. However, MGS enthusiasts aren't so hot on the 5th mainline entry thanks to a story that feels half-finished. It's an excellent playing game, but a disappointing Metal Gear Solid. The next game on our list of the best open-world games on PS4 is actually a spin-off from the Yakuza series called Judgment. Instead of playing on the opposite side of the law, you'll play on the side of justice as lawyer-turned-detective Takayuki Yagami. A serial killer is making the rounds and ripping out the eyes of its victims. You'll need to gather evidence and fend off anyone that tries to test your martial arts mastery as you're on the case. Just like the Yakuza games, the open-world locale of Kamurocho comes into focus here, and you can expect to enjoy plenty of silly mini-games and investigative trials during your citywide adventure. After several years working on handhelds like PS Vita and PSP, Bend Studio marked its return to home consoles with its ambitious open-world adventure Days Gone. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, the game's biker motif made it stand out from the crowd, as your two wheels became your sanctuary in an extremely hostile setting. A huge focus on story and some genuinely impressive tech allowed the developer to flex its muscle, and the release would go on to become a cult favorite among PS4 fans. Chinese development studio MiHoYo managed to produce a quality open-world action RPG that has zero price of admission. The high production values of the game certainly bring the fantastical world of Teyvat to life in the most eye-popping ways possible. Genshin Impact is a breath of the wild-like experience that throws players into a gorgeous open world packed to the brim with plenty to see, do, and fight. The game's huge roster of playable characters you can unlock and the dev team's devotion to creating regularly updated content for Genshin Impact means you'll never run out of things to do. This anime action RPG's gotcha elements when it comes to getting all those extra characters can be tiresome, but the core experience here will still keep you entertained. If you end up loving everything about Judgment, you'll want to continue Takayuki Yagami's crime-solving duties in the sequel known as Lost Judgment. The dual combat styles, sneaking segments, and citywide exploration the first game focuses on comes back here in fine form. As for the main plot at hand, you'll see yourself investigating a criminal accused of both sexual harassment and murder. Speaking with high school students is one of the newer features put into place here, plus there are plenty of other lively side activities to enjoy. We especially love the skateboarding sessions on offer here. Lost Judgment is a strong sequel that's perfect for gamers that prefer another one of the best open-world games on PS4. Technically, the Ezio collection is a set of 3 games instead of 1. Each of them, though, is an open-world title. The package contains all of the Assassin's Creed games that star the charming Italian assassin Ezio Auditore. The first of the 3 is Assassin's Creed 2, and it's set in various parts of Italy in the 1400s. Brotherhood takes place around the same time period, but it is set entirely in Rome. As for the last game, Revelations, the setting is Constantinople during the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Each map contains historical landmarks, and you use Ezio's exceptional climbing and free-running skills to traverse each place. It tends to be glossed over these days, but Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor was an undeniably innovative game when it launched in 2014. Its so-called Nemesis system allowed for some impressively dynamic storytelling, as ugly orcs formed all kinds of twisted relationships with brooding main character Talion. Somewhat basic, but still fun contextual combat and loads of unlockable upgrades make Mordor an engaging action RPG, and it still stands as a fine Lord of the Rings spin-off. Greek mythology is the central focus here in this action RPG that deserves way more attention from those who mistakenly skipped it. Immortals Fenyx Rising follows the main protagonist known as Fenyx, who must find a way to bring an end to the disastrous acts of the newly escaped demonic hazard called Typhon. And on the way to eliminating his negative presence from the world, you'll run into massive enemy types that include Cyclops, Medusa, Cerberus, and so much more. Alongside some solid third-person combat, this game also features an assemblage of clever puzzles that'll truly test your brain power and some humorous exchanges between a narrator following your journey in the almighty Zeus. We could easily populate this list with Assassin's Creed games, as each entry in the series boasts some of the best open-world experiences, with a focus on specific historical settings. Odyssey, the second installment of the reboot, transports you to ancient Greece, immersing you in the rich history as you assume the role of either Alexios or Cassandra on their quest to combat the cult of Cosmos. Beyond the main story, one of the standout features of this game is its expansive open world. A glance at the map reveals the vastness of the open world, offering numerous discoveries to be made. The meticulously crafted big cities showcase excellent design, effectively capturing the essence of Greek culture and architecture, clothing, and the overall setting. Sucker Punch continues its popular superhero series with a brand new protagonist in Infamous, Second Son. Taking the open-world action to Seattle, you play as Delsin Rowe, a conduit with the amazing ability to absorb the powers of other superhumans. This gives you many more toys to play with as you progress, gaining unusual abilities based on smoke, neon, digital, and more. Exploring the city feels great, combat is fun and varied, and it looks fantastic, a great early showpiece for PS4. One of the most celebrated PS4 exclusives got an awesome expansion that's best experienced within this quality director's cut. Sucker Punch Productions' open-world samurai epic embraces the epic age of the samurai. This game's breathtaking experience will take you through the vast locale of Tsushima Island. In order to push back the Mongol invasion of Japan, you must take on the role of Jin Sakai and simultaneously embrace the ways of the samurai and guerrilla warfare. That means you'll be cutting down your foes with focused strikes, engaging in nail-bitingly tense duels, and pulling off sick multi-kills in mere seconds with your katana in hand. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is the best way to play thanks to its combined inclusion of the story expansion DLC and multiplayer component. Arkham Knight is the third main entry in Rocksteady's brilliant trilogy. Unlike the other main Rocksteady installments, this one takes place on the streets of Gotham. There aren't many civilians around as Scarecrow has launched a chemical attack on the city, which has prompted an evacuation. Naturally, the Dark Knight stays to stop Scarecrow and all the other rogues that are still around and causing problems. Doing so means you have to travel all around the Dark City, using your grapple hook, cape gliding abilities, and the Batmobile. When someone gets in the way, you can just beat them up. If you ever get an inkling to try the Watch Dogs series, just play Watch Dogs 2 and then move on with your life. By far the best entry in the series, it has a much more lighthearted approach to the hacking concepts, with fun gadgets to use and great mission design to let them thrive. Marcus Holloway is a significantly better protagonist than the original's Aiden Pierce, and his vibrant crew is one you'll grow to love. Open worlds don't have to be huge to be great. Yakuza 0 provides proof of that through its two settings. They're both Japanese cities. One is called Kamurocho, while the other is Sotenbori. Both are filled with activities, sub-stories, and notable people. The streets are littered with various miscellaneous items that you can pick up and beat people with. This is useful since you're guaranteed to get into many battles while seeing the sights. The same goes for when you're completing main quests. These missions mostly revolve around the Yakuza and a lucrative bit of property that everyone wants to get their hands on. Parkour and zombie killing go hand-in-hand in Dying Light, an open-world, post-apocalyptic title that delivers intense first-person survival gameplay. You'll conquer the rooftops of Heron as a parkour master, or run for your life as the thrilling day/night turns you from predator to prey. It was an entertaining game out of the box, but made better and better thanks to years of post-launch support. Ever since the world got introduced to the fabled magical school of Hogwarts and the misadventures of Harry Potter and friends, fans around the globe have been praying for a true AAA game centered around the wizarding world. Developer Avalanche Software finally made that wish come true when it launched Hogwarts Legacy, a whimsical action/adventure game that gives players the ability to create their own wizard and live out their days as a student at Hogwarts. The open world in this title is filled with classes to take lessons from, a massive castle to navigate, and outdoor locales filled with dangerous beasts to blast with your wide range of spells. Taking flight with your broom in hand or atop a hippogriff will blow your mind. The open-world genre would be very different if it weren't for the GTA series. It really helped innovate and popularize open-world sandboxes. Grand Theft Auto V continues the series' tradition of providing extremely detailed cities to roam around. This time, the place is a parody of Los Angeles called Los Santos. There is also a more humble surrounding area known as Sandy Shores. Both places are filled with killers, liars, and every other type of horrible person you can think of. This includes your iconic trio of protagonists who are all criminals trying to make some money and get government agents off their backs. Apart from a few detours, all the action takes place on various areas of this incredible map that feels like a living, breathing place. Round of applause for the developers at Hello Games. While they initially dropped the ball with this game at launch in 2016, The studio took note of their mistakes, made sure to acknowledge them, and go back to the drawing board to help No Man's Sky reach its fullest potential. Now, this game is one of the very best open-world survival games that takes place within a vast galaxy full of strange creatures, friendly space travelers, and mysterious planets worth exploring. What you'll be treated to here is an infinite procedurally generated galaxy where gathering resources, moving between planets on a spaceship, and engaging in merchant trading is more fun than you think. EA's first foray into remasters sees the triumphant return of one of the arcade racing kings. Burnout Paradise was ahead of its time on PS3 in many ways, and this remaster proves that. Its updated visuals look good, the open-world racing is as slick and speedy as ever, and the innovative online features are still better than most. With all the DLC included and an addictive array of events and collectibles, this 10-year-old racer will keep you strapped to your seat for hours on end. The Witcher 3 is about protagonist Geralt's search for his adoptive daughter, Ciri. The young woman isn't easy to find, though, so you have to travel to various places to track her down. The said places serve as your open world. Each one is distinct from the others. Velen is filled with trees and swamps, Novigrad is a city, and Skellige is an archipelago. Each place has people to meet and quests to complete. One thing none of the areas offer, though, is safety. After all, they all contain various monsters. So, be careful if you want to see the sights. Ubisoft's checklist open-world formula wears a bit thin in Far Cry 5, but there's still good fun to be had in this fairly dense FPS, especially if you're partaking in some co-op action. The story tackles some interesting themes and it's got a memorable moment or two, while the often chaotic gameplay can be addictive if you can look past the repetition. A solid shooter, all told. The PS4 Spider-Man game is set in New York City, like most of the web-slinger stories. To be more specific, it takes place in Manhattan, and it's a great recreation of the place. It doesn't look completely like the real thing because Spidey's universe is a bit different. For instance, there is no Oscorp Tower in real life because Norman Oscorp doesn't actually exist. But he is involved in this game, as are several other unsavory characters that the protagonist needs to watch out for. In the process of putting a stop to the villains, you need to traverse around the city, which necessitates swinging around using one of the best traversal mechanics ever. After experiencing the great adventures of Peter Parker on PS4, you'll want to do the same for the electrifying Miles Morales. His epic superhero origin story comes into focus in this standalone Spider-Man game that hits the same high notes as its predecessor. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales sees the young web crawler come into his own as he battles familiar villains, comes into a conflict with a longtime friend turned enemy, clashes with a diabolical tech corporation, and fights with a vicious resistance group from taking down that same company. Miles' newfound electrified abilities and swift melee mastery make him an extremely fun superhero to swing around New York City with, just like his mentor Peter Parker. Miles' days as his own neighborhood Spidey is an amazing gameplay experience, for sure. We waited for what felt like an eternity for Final Fantasy XV, and when it finally arrived, it was, well, it was good, but certainly not amazing. Some fans like it a lot more than others, and we're of the opinion that it's an entertaining but sometimes deeply flawed game. A very troubled development cycle shows in the finished product, with its disjointed storytelling and often odd quest design, but there's still a certain kind of magic to 15 that's hard to explain. It's got an atmospheric open world, and the road trip structure is both unique and engaging. It's also worth noting that 15 improved significantly with the Royal Edition, which packed all of the free updates and DLC into one package, making for a much more cohesive experience. Many fans of the Souls games have longed for the experience of an open-world Souls game, and Elden Ring fulfills that desire as the first game in the genre to feature an open world. The game earns praise from various perspectives, but the open world and its diversity are truly remarkable. The Lands Between is an expansive world comprising multiple regions, each with its unique and distinguishable color palette. For instance, Caelid is reddish, Raya Lucaria Academy is bluish, and Altus Plateau is yellowish, just to name a few of the diverse locations and regions to explore. Even in a challenging world filled with enemies and formidable bosses, a single glance at the beauty of Elden Ring can provide a sense of solace amid the chaos. An original take on the popular movie franchise, the simply named Mad Max places you in the middle of a huge desert with not but a beaten-up car. This game is all about gradually building up your vehicle into a formidable death machine in the rust and dust apocalypse, engaging in fun, explosive car combat, infiltrating enemy strongholds and exploring the dunes. This is a cult hit that carves out its own niche. Hideo Kojima is best known for his work on the Metal Gear Solid series that is published by Konami. After his unceremonious exit from the Japanese gaming company, Kojima made his way over to Sony Interactive Entertainment to create something entirely new and mystifying. His mysterious creation is known as Death Stranding, one of the best open-world games on PS4 and certainly one of the most confounding experiences for some. In it, you'll be tasked with rebuilding the broken borders between different colonies and delivering packages with essential supplies to each one. This is all done in an effort to improve the quality of life in a version of Earth ravaged by a cataclysmic event and filled with vicious creatures that will attempt to stop you. Following me this far, and until next time, bye.